The total value of gold is about 11, but 5-ish of that is jewelry and chalices, and that doesn't really count. But the monetary that's in central banks around the world is about 6 trillion. I think Bitcoin can replace all of that. The monetary equivalent, 6 trillion, is about a 10x from here. So it gives us a price of about 300K.
Today, Morgan Creek Capital's Mark Yusko gives his latest update and prediction for Bitcoin and why the crypto market will see massive opportunity in the last part of 2023. Yusko predicts that Bitcoin's market cap will surpass even gold, reaching around $6 trillion, which would imply a price of about $300,000 per Bitcoin. He also believes that Bitcoin's value will continue to rise exponentially after the halving event, where the rewards for mining Bitcoin are reduced, thus decreasing the new supply. Yusko still maintains his bullish prediction of Bitcoin hitting $1 million per coin by 2028. In this volatile landscape, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have gained prominence as primary investment options and have seen remarkable growth and interest just since the beginning of this year. Investors are drawn to Bitcoin, which operates independently of government influence and monetary policies, and makes it an appealing hedge against inflation and economic uncertainty. Let's get into the latest interview with Mark Yusko, where he shares his profound insights on the future of money, the role of Bitcoin, and its potential to revolutionize the world of finance. Don't forget to share your thoughts and comments down below, and leave a like if you enjoy the content we do here.
It goes like this, right? So gold is the only money in the world. And what is money? Money is an asset that exists in the absence of a liability. Now everybody says, well, what about all this other stuff? These dollars or yen or euros. We use them as money. Well, no, we use them as currency, and they're created by banks, central banks, and they're backed by debt. So it's not that they're bad or evil. It's just they're not money. Money is an asset that exists in the absence of a liability. And so for 5,000 years, it's a long time, gold has played that role. And we had experiments with other things along the way, puka shells and stone wheels and things like that. But gold has survived through belief and custom. And 1 ounce of gold for 5,000 years has bought a fine person's suit. So from Cleopatra's time to a suit of armor to a zoot suit in the 20s to Savile Row today, you or I could go to Savile Row and for a single ounce of gold, about $1,900, we could get a fine suit. So what's changed? Gold suffers from 2 things. It's not very portable, meaning it's really heavy and clunky, and it's not very divisible. Like if I had a bar of gold here and go pull it out of the safe and I want to give you half, even if I could break it in half, which I couldn't do, I'd have a hard time stuffing it in the computer and sending it to you. So it's not very divisible. I can't break it in half, and it's not very portable. I can't send it to you. Well, Bitcoin fixes both of those. It is equally scarce. Its stock to flow ratio is the same as gold. The amount that's lost or stolen every year roughly equals the amount that's created. And so it's a scarce asset. Well, why do scarce assets matter? Well, a scarce asset, which also exists in the absence of a liability, it wasn't created by a government with debt, has an interesting feature of being a perfect store of value. So as people realize that in the digital age, and Bitcoin being more divisible and more portable, I can punch a few buttons on my smartphone and send you Bitcoin immediately. You don't have to have a bank account. I don't need to have a bank account. We can make that transfer of wealth instantaneously. So the monetary value of gold, to sum up, is about $6 trillion. The total value of gold is about 11, but 5-ish of that is jewelry and chalices, and that doesn't really count. But the monetary that's in central banks around the world is about 6 trillion. I think Bitcoin can replace all of that. The monetary equivalent, 6 trillion, is about a 10x from here. So it gives us a price of about 300K. So that was like a 10-year process, and we're probably 3-4 years into that. So I can still, I would say the next halving, not this halving in 2024, but the 2028. And where do I get that? Well, every halving, we've added a zero. We've about 10 times the market cap of Bitcoin. So we went from 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000. I think this halving next April, we go to 100,000 as fair value. But in these movements during crypto fall, right? We're in crypto summer today until next June. Then after the halving, we go to crypto fall. That's the parabolic, everybody's crazed and FOMO rules. We usually go above fair value. So I think we could get into the high hundreds, maybe even a couple hundred, but let's call it the high hundreds, 150, 180. And then we go into the next crypto winter. So we have our correction. Then for the next halving in 2028, the fair value jumps to $1 million. Now people say, $1 million, that could never happen. Well, hopefully by that time, we're not talking about Bitcoin, we're talking about Satoshis. Because the Satoshi is the unit of measure that we should all, I think, be talking about, which is there are 100 million Satoshis per Bitcoin. And then we don't have to think about, well, Bitcoin's $1 million. No, a single Satoshi is worth fractions of pennies at some point. We all do this, right? When things are working, you say, oh, look how smart I am. And when they're not, you're like, oh, the market's broken. It's not that the market's broken. It's just we're in this phase. Look at M2. It's going up. And when M2 is going up, guess what happens? Stocks go up. The other thing that happens, Bitcoin goes up. Bitcoin's up this year, a lot. Not because Bitcoin got better. One Bitcoin's still one Bitcoin. What happened? The dollar got worse. If this was tech bubble 2.0, it's possible that we're going to play out that same way, where you have this relief rally. Now, the numbers are different in that we did have a really bad year in stocks in 2022, really good year in stocks this year, but net, you're still down over the period. If you're down 20 and up 20, you're still down. And so I don't know. I would be more cautious than ebullient kind of coming into this September. I'm not saying it's gonna crash, but I would say that there's a force countervailing against your chase, which I do think is probably going to happen. And the stock won't go down because its ticker symbol is AI. They incinerate cash. They literally burn $150 million a year. So they've burned almost $750 million in their life. And the stock is up like 300% this year. That's insane. That's literally insane. But what stops it? Because a short seller that tried to short that has been carried out. What I'm saying is we're in that mania phase where we have total willing suspension of disbelief.
Mark Yusko highlights the historical significance of gold as the only true form of money for thousands of years. Money, as he defines it, is an asset that exists without any associated liability, distinguishing it from fiat currencies like dollars, yen, or euros, which are backed by debt. Investors and financial institutions are catching on, adding cryptos to their portfolios and exploring the vast potential of blockchain technology. And despite it being a revolution, the gradual weakening of traditional currencies like the US dollar are what's driving it. Yusko is extremely optimistic, as Bitcoin and other cryptos will become game changers, reshaping the financial landscape as we know it. Yusko explains that while speculators initially drive price movements, gamblers entering the market disrupt the cycle by pushing prices beyond fair value, resulting in crashes. He also points out that historical trends indicate a roughly 10x increase in value with each halving event, suggesting that the next one is scheduled to propel Bitcoin to $100,000. Yusko points out that as summer transitions into fall, the price tends to rise rapidly, leading to heightened excitement among investors. This coming mass adoption is why Yusko says there will be unprecedented opportunity to buy in before the price surge to the six-figure target is met in less than 6 months' time. What do you think about the latest interview with Mark Yusko, and what do you think about his Bitcoin prediction and its impact on the crypto market? Comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content just like this. We'll see you in the next video.